Waterman Files.
Dit is Argusoog Radio.
Have at it, dude. This is the Waterman. You're listening to the Waterman Files. This is John Waterman. Today is January 15th. I'm coming to you from deep inside the castle. Now, there's a long story behind that with the castle, but we'll talk about that later. In the meantime, we're going to today be covering a lot of ground crew information. We're going to be picking up where we left off last week, when I didn't get the chance to talk to you about all the health concerns that I wanted to cover. And so we're going to be chatting here real soon with somebody online that we'll bring up here in a second. And in the meantime, I want to give you a couple of emails for the ground crews now. One is community@mailvault.com. Again, that's community@mailvault.com. And to continue with the script project or involvement with script, so forth, just write to Let's, L-E-T-S, at mailvault.com. And, of course, my email at Argusoog is Dr. for Dr. John Waterman. And so it's Dr. John Waterman at argusogradio.org. So anyway, we're going to begin here with a little bit of information, and we're going to be focused again. Of course, we always do. We have information with ground crews right off the bat, and so that's where we're going to start. If you haven't received an email in response to any of these projects we're talking about, the Community and Script Project, please write to those emails. And right now I want to introduce Tobias. Tobias, you there?
Yes, Dr. Waterman. Nice to be here.
Yeah. I wanted to bring him on. He's from our community. You know, the approach that we're moving with and the direction that we're headed is basically about community, and Tobias has been gracious enough to volunteer his time. Now, you know, when it comes to community, Tobias, generally when you get involved in something like this, you kind of have to hang on to your seat because you have absolutely no idea, you know, where it really is going to go. But he's been really involved in helping me help you. And so I just wanted to introduce Tobias. Tobias is going to be kind of taking the emails that come in. We're going to be moving all the different discussions into different categories. And so that is, as that develops in our community contacts, we're just going to try and coordinate that. Well, I can't just do all that. So he stepped in to help. So thanks so much. And thank you, Tobias, for coming on. I wanted to introduce you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, I wanted to get him in our discussion today, because before we go on to the health things, I wanted to really talk about, you know, community, and Tobias and I have had some discussions how community really, I guess we could say, compares to a model that maybe we can understand a little better, called open source software. And so why don't we begin there about, you know, what it is community, right. You know, what are we moving for? Tobias is familiar with the, you know, and I think a lot of people, you don't have Ubuntu right now, right?
Right, that's right, I don't.
Yeah. Many of us are familiar with, hey, we have a computer, it runs Windows, right? Well, we pay for that. I don't know what Windows is running, the new Windows 7. Do you?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think it's 7 or 8 now. But yeah, I see what you mean with it's a very interesting relationship or a comparison between the open source community and what we're all sort of facing now. The open source community came together because of a need for a number of things, including security and the ability to build new and greater things. And I think that's a lot of what you're comparing with that community. I mean, it's easy to become frozen in fear with everything we hear on the news and information we're getting today, but we really need to work our way through the fear. And I mean, the best way to do so is by taking the first baby steps and taking real action towards a goal.
Right. And, everybody could be sitting around whining and complaining about how Windows isn't getting the job done they want. And on top of that, they could whine and complain about how Windows has backdoors and it's compromised them and all the attacks are blah, blah. Or you could go do something about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a lot of people think that being in a hacker community was required. Or, to be in programming, you had to be in this kind of open source community, you had to be a programmer. But really, that's not the case. But it does require you to get involved. And it's kind of like the community that really needs to be developed. Community isn't something where we go to get something handed out to us. Open source community is where we can get free software. But there's a spoken but little understood, what can I call it? Protocol? I don't like to say that's kind of, shop talk for medical. But it is kind of an unspoken code of ethics that you will somehow contribute back. Are you follow? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's somewhat of a code of honor. I mean,
yeah, there we go. Yeah, code of honor. Good expression. Code of honor. It when we get free things, a lot of times there's a donate button. Well, if you really haven't got any idea how to contribute back, well, hey, donate, right? If you can't, and you're sitting around all day because, well, gosh, if you're looking for a job constantly every second. And well, that's different. But if you're, and you're unable to pay, but if you do have time, there are venues for you. So, community, bring us, Tobias, back to the community at large. How we kind of apply that model in what we actually, or where we're headed. Say, for example.
Right. Well, really, I see where you're going. It is very similar because in the open source community, if you can't contribute by paying for software or giving a donation, as you mentioned, then you contribute what you can, and that can be your time, that can be your expertise, or anything else that you can give that's going to make the community as a whole a better, stronger thing. And that's how it applies to community in the other sense. Instead of going and paying money, for example, we're just asking, or we need to realize that it's really coming from the heart. You have to realize that you have to give what you can give, and it.
It's not a consumer I mean. Being in community is not like going to the supermarket or a shopping center where you're just going to be consuming. Now, not that you're going to the supermarket or you're even going to the shopping center and not spending money and taking stuff for free. That's not the point. The point is that mentality of constantly thinking that we have to either have a right to things or a